You're watching the Defense Dynamics. This is D-Day India and I am Danveer Singh. India's President Draupadi Murmu took to the seas on board indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, where she observed a series of advanced operational demonstrations, and the President was given a detailed briefing on the Indian Navy's strategic operations. So today in this episode of Defense Dynamics, we'll talk about Indian Navy's growing power as part of modernization and expansion of its maritime forces, safeguarding India's strategic interest in the Indian and the Pacific Ocean. In doing that, why is the latest long-range anti-ship ballistic missile by India going to be a game changer in the Indian Ocean region? Since the ex-Air Chief Air Marshal Arup Raha in year 2022 mentioned about India showing interest in acquiring Tu-160 strategic bombers. Tu-160 is back in the news again, being reported in some sections of Indian media. So let's look at the bomber in greater detail. Also, in our neighborhood watch, a blast at Quetta railway station in Pakistan, killing over 24 people, including many Pakistani army soldiers, suggests a shift in composition and pattern of the current phase of Baluch insurgency, making its trajectory hard to predict. We will analyze it for you. What does that mean? India's President Draupadi Murmu on INS Vikrant, along with 15 frontline warships and submarines stationed off Goa's coast, the President received a detailed briefing on Navy's strategic operations. She later witnessed various naval exercises, including deck-based fighter takeoff and landings, missile firing drills, submarine maneuvers, and impressive flypast by over 30 aircrafts.
Presently, the Indian Navy has 66 ships on order, of which 50 are under construction in various stages and 12 ships are to be delivered in the next 12 months. These ships sum up a tonnage of over 2 lakh tons and a value of rupees 1.1 lakh crores or 13 billion US dollars. These ships are being constructed across 6 shipyards in India, while 2 ships are under construction in Russia. India will finally receive the stealth frigate Tushil from Russia in December 2024 after a long delay. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh will induct the guided missile warships on 9th December at Yantar shipyard in Russia's Kaliningrad. These 2 Russian origin ships are going to be the last warships to be imported for the Indian Navy. The Indian Navy is aiming to have between 155 to 160 warships by year 2030 and between 175 to 200 warships by year 2035. The increasing interest of the Chinese People's Liberation Army Navy in the Indian Ocean region has led to the Indian Navy to invest more on anti-submarine ships such as Kamorta class corvette, long-range maritime reconnaissance aircraft such as Boeing P-8 Poseidon, and the unmanned aerial vehicles. Today, the Indian Navy has 2 aircraft carriers in active service, one of which is the INS Vikramaditya, which serves as a flagship of the fleet. Vikramaditya, formerly Admiral Groskov, is a modified Kiev-class aircraft carrier produced at a total cost of rupees 2.3 billion from Russia in December 2013. The second aircraft carrier, the indigenously built INS Vikrant, was commissioned on 2nd September 2022. The Navy has an amphibious transport dock INS Jalashwa in the Indian Naval Service. The Navy currently operates 3 Visakhapatnam, 3 Kolkata, 3 Delhi and 3 Rajput class guided missile destroyers. The ships of Rajput class are being replaced by the next generation Visakhapatnam class destroyers, which features a number of improvements. As the name suggests, the destroyers can unleash a devastating blow to the enemy with their sheer firepower. In addition to destroyers, Navy operates several classes of frigates such as 3 Shivalik and 6 Talwar class frigates. The smaller littoral zone combatant in service are in form of corvettes, of which the Indian Army operates the Kamorta, Kora, Kukri, Veer and Abhay class. As of August 2024, the Navy's subsurface fleet included 2 Arihant class SSBN, 16 conventionally powered attack submarines. The conventional attack submarines of Indian Navy consists of 5 Kalavari, the French Scorpion class submarines, 7 Sindhu Ghosh, the Russian Kilo class, and Shishumar, the German Type 209/1500 classes. The Navy operates submarine launched ballistic missiles of K series as part of India's nuclear triad. This makes the Indian Navy almighty powerful in the region.
India's new long-range anti-ship ballistic missile is capable of striking vessels over 1,000 kilometers away. This missile is designed for launch from both land and sea. It is likely to significantly enhance Indian Navy's long-range anti-shipping strike capabilities. This development comes amidst India's effort to bolster its ballistic missile arsenal to counter potential threats from neighboring countries, especially the growing Chinese naval presence in the Indian Ocean and their enhanced synergy with the Pakistani Navy. Both are seen as threat to India's security in the maritime domain.
At a time when defense forces are looking at creating a rocket force,
India's
new long-range anti-ship ballistic missile, which would be able to hit moving warships or aircraft carriers at a distance of over 1000 to 1500 kilometers. This anti-ship ballistic missile is capable of being launched from both warship and shore-based locations. This missile system is being developed for the Indian Navy and would give it the capability to take out enemy vessels from a long range. The Defence Research and Development Organization of India for a while has been working on these long-range anti-ship missiles, or the LRASMs, and is poised to revolutionize India's naval capabilities. The LRASMs are a game-changing quasi-ballistic trajectory anti-ship missiles. The quasi-ballistic trajectory anti-ship missiles, the missile boasts an impressive range of 1,500 kilometers, making it a formidable force in combating maritime threats in both littoral and open sea regions. The strategic significance of LRASMs lies in its ability to strike target with unprecedented precision at an extended range, providing Indian naval forces with a substantial advantage over potential adversaries. The missile's quasi-ballistic trajectory enables it to soar to high altitudes akin to a ballistic missile before homing in onto its targets at high speeds. This unique flight profile allows LRASMs to evade enemy defenses and strike with remarkable accuracy, making it a potent asset in India's naval arsenal. These LRASMs are designed to fulfill multiple roles, primarily serving as part of coastal defense batteries. The coastal regions are of critical importance to national security, and safeguarding these areas from potential maritime threat is a paramount concern. These missiles' long-range capability ensures that India's coastal boundaries are well protected, thwarting any hostile naval incursions and safeguarding vital installations and economic interests. Furthermore, the versatility of LRASMs extends beyond coastal defense, as they will be installed on frontline warships of the Indian Navy. Equipping naval vessels with these advanced missile systems will enhance their offensive capabilities, enable them to engage hostile ships and targets at an unprecedented distance. With the LRAShM on board, the Indian warships will have a significant reach advantage, thus enabling them to neutralize threat even before they come within the striking distance. The successful realization of this project marks a significant milestone in India's journey towards becoming a dominant force in the maritime domain.
Let's compare the trajectory of India's long-range anti-ship ballistic missile to that of other types of ballistic missiles. This is the video wall that has got different trajectories, as you can see. So I'll explain to you that what are these trajectories and how will India's anti-ship ballistic missile look like once it has been launched. So if you look at the bigger parabola, a half inverted egg-shaped trajectory is that of a normal ballistic missile. So it takes this parabola and hits the target. When it comes to a cruise missile, which is shown at the lowest level of this graphic, it is largely flattish to the surface of the earth, and the anti-ship ballistic missile, as you can see, after it launches the hyperglide vehicle, it can steer its course according to the target and move and adjust itself for pinpoint precision strike. So this is how a hypersonic glide vehicle path look like and hit the target. One point to note is that all these ballistic missiles are vertically launched. Now this is the graphic representation of an anti-ship ballistic missile which has released the hypersonic glide vehicle, and this is how it would look like once it is launched. India's consideration of acquiring the Tu-160 blackjack bomber from Russia was once highlighted in year 2022. It may or may not be so in year 2024. India's interest in acquiring Tu-160 was hinted by ex-Air Force Chief Air Marshal Arup Raha during an event organized by Chanakya Foundation called the Chanakya Dialogues. This statement led to growing speculation about India's potential plan to acquire these strategic bombers. But why are we talking of this today? Well, it is because it is again being speculated in certain sections of Indian media. Speculations apart, Tu-160 is a spectacular strategic bomber worth knowing more about it.
Known as the White Swan, this aircraft is a key component of Russia's nuclear triad. The Tu-160 is powerful enough to circle the globe in a single flight, and its extensive range coupled with the capability to launch devastating attacks with heavy bombs distinguishes it from other bombers worldwide. The bomber is so formidable that United States keeps a close watch on its flights using satellite surveillance. Reportedly, Soviet-designed Tu-22M3 was previously proposed for the Indian Navy nearly 2 decades ago. However, high leasing costs and modernization expenses kept the deal from finalizing. Now with the potential addition of Tu-160M, a modernized, highly capable strategic bomber, Russia seeks to provide India with aircraft that could enhance its long-range strike capabilities. Unlike the Tu-22M3, the Tu-160M is still in production under a 2018 contract that calls for 10 units to be delivered to Russian Air Force by 2027. These upgraded models come with extensive avionics and navigation enhancement, and the Tupolev, the manufacturer, claims the modernized Tu-160M is 60% more effective than its predecessor. The Tupolev Tu-160 bomber has a top speed of 2,220 km per hour and can carry a maximum payload of 45,000 kilograms. That includes bombs and cruise missiles. Its wingspan measures 56 meters. The Tu-160's first flight took place on December 16, 1981. and the Russian military currently operates 17 of these strategic bombers, which are continuously being upgraded. The Tu-160 is a strategic bomber, which means it can drop large amount of weaponry from air to ground, which means it can drop large amounts of payload from air to ground onto distant targets. The intent of Tu-160 bomber aircraft is to destabilize one's enemies. So far, Russia has 11 Tu-160s and has been using these bombers in its ongoing operations against Ukraine.
At least 26 people, including 16 personnel, were killed and 16 others injured after a suicide bomber targeted passengers who were waiting for the Peshawar-bound train at Quetta railway station of troubled Balochistan province of Pakistan. If you recall, as recent as 25-26 August, more than 70 people, including 23 civilians, were reportedly killed and key infrastructure damaged in a series of attacks across Balochistan. The armed separatist group, the Baloch Liberation Army, claimed these responsibilities of those attacks. There is a mounting evidence of a shift in the composition and pattern of current phase of Baloch insurgency, making its trajectory very hard to predict. However, the most significant change is the involvement of growing number of educated middle-class professionals who are transforming this insurgency from a movement dominated by traditional tribal chiefs to one with greater popular appeal.
The Balochistan Liberation Army is said to have become a magnet for such groups who favor modern and unconventional thinking. There is also an increasing involvement of women, a radical departure in one of Pakistan's most socially conservative provinces. On August 26, the BLA released images of a woman law student from Gwadar who it said was the suicide bomber responsible for attacks on paramilitary base in Las Bela. Earlier, in April 2022, a Baloch woman with a graduate degree in medicine was identified as a suicide bomber who killed 3 Chinese nationals in the University of Karachi. There is also the rise of an increasingly vocal Baloch right-based movement, the Baloch Yakjehti Committee, comprising mainly of women activists and led by the charismatic young female doctor Mahrang Baloch. Dedicated to non-violence, it aims to raise national awareness of extrajudicial killings and so-called enforced disappearances involving ethnic Baloch. An estimated 5,000 Baloch are said to have gone missing since year 2000. Another trend with the current insurgency is the creeping xenophobia and hostility towards non-Baloch ethnic groups, many of whom are drawn to Balochistan from elsewhere in Pakistan by the prospect of economic opportunities and work on local projects. Ethnic Punjabis, who tend to dominate the security forces, have been specially vulnerable to local resentment. In the latest attacks, all the civilians reported killed by BLA were identified as Punjabi workers, which seems to confirm concerns they are being deliberately targeted by these militants. Much of the hostility against migrant workers is rooted in fears of ethnic Baloch that they could be reduced to a minority in the province or lose out in competition for jobs to relatively better qualified workers from Punjab. So far, there has been no indication that the government of Pakistan is willing to address the Baloch grievances that have fueled political alienation. This has led to concerns that Pakistan's powerful military establishment will be pursuing a heavy-handed security response to deal with what is widely judged to be a political crisis. Pressing ahead with a militarized security approach to address the crisis in Balochistan is a worrying indication that lessons from the past have not been learned. All signs point to dangerous replay of past mistakes, whereby political engagement is dismissed in favor of political management, backing groups that owe their allegiance to the military and will do its biddings. Ultimately, the escalating violence and continuing turmoil in Balochistan is a reflection of the abject failure to provide meaningful representation to the Baloch and to address their grievances which have simmered since the inception of Pakistan in 1947. In the face of an insurgency sophisticated insurgency with power to extend its reach across vast swaths of civil society in Balochistan, resorting to brute force is no longer an option. The only way forward lies in opening channels of communication with genuine redressal of aspirations of Balochistan, rather than to the Pakistan's armed custodians of power.
With this, we come to the end of this episode of Defense Dynamics. But before I go, here is my take. Indian Navy plays a crucial role in countering China's influence in the Indian Ocean, primarily driven by its strategic interest and the need to maintain regional stability. The Indian Ocean is a vital region as it connects some of the world's most critical maritime trade routes and serves as a gateway to both the Middle East and the Southeast Asian region. India is situated at the heart of Indian Ocean and is deeply concerned about the increasing Chinese presence alongside their synergy with Pakistan Navy, impacting this region, encroaching on India's sphere of influence and thus potentially undermining its security. One key aspect of India's counter strategy is enhancing its naval capabilities. India has been modernizing its navy, acquiring submarines, aircraft carriers, enhanced surveillance systems to project power across the Indian Ocean. By increasing its maritime strength, India aims to secure its interests, deter potential threats, and support the balance of power in the region. In addition, India has established naval bases in strategic locations such as Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which allow it to monitor Chinese movement in this region. In summary, India's role in countering China's influence in Indian Ocean is multifaceted, combining military modernization, regional partnerships, and multilateral diplomacy. See you next week with new stories and their analysis. Thanks for watching, and do post your comment on social media with #DD with Dhanvi. Goodbye and take care.